Welcome to Second Unitarian Church of Omaha's multi-platform worship service on this lovely autumn morning. It's good to be with all of you. My name is Lorraine Duggan. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the virtual worship associate for today. Our settled minister, Reverend Juniper Meadows, is in the sanctuary. We are an inclusive, nurturing, liberal religious community engaged in thoughtful pursuit of truth and meaning. We strive to live by our values and our mission to become more authentic, compassionate, and transformative human beings. We share a vision of a world community that embraces diversity, justice, and respectful stewardship within the interdependent web of existence. We welcome all of you to Second Unitarian Church, no matter who you are, whom you love, how you may choose to present yourself to the world, what your background may be, or whatever your faith, if any, or your beliefs. We encourage you to participate with your whole self, your doubts, your fears, your challenges, or whatever you may be facing in your life, as well as your gifts and aspirations. We recognize that we're each of us on a spiritual journey together in community. We also want you to know that our congregation practices whole family worship, and we work to be radically welcoming and accessible to people of all ages and abilities. We purposefully welcome children and the sounds of joyful life in our sanctuary, and know that we are a full and growing community that models inherent worth and dignity for all humans in this sacred space. Activity bags and fidget toys with no age limits available in the back of the sanctuary. So we invite you to move around as you feel the need anytime during worship service. Our Soul Matters theme for the month of September is invitation. Today we're having a special service, the Blessing of the Books. It's in conjunction with our annual fundraiser, the book sale today and last Sunday out on the grounds of the church, sponsored by the Library Committee. You've all been invited to bring a book for today's service to share your liking for or to donate. And with Reverend Juniper, we'll explore the human endeavor to create and share meaning through the printed word and the world of books. And with that, we extend a special welcome to visitors and invite everyone to stay for coffee and conversation in the sanctuary or in the Zoom breakout rooms after the service. You're also invited to the after-hour discussion group today, starting at 11:45. This will be an informal gathering downstairs to discuss ideas from today's homily or any part of the service. So please.
Good morning, friends. My name is Reverend Juniper Meadows. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a tall, curly-haired woman with a lavender clergy shirt and a stole with a Luna moth and some other stuff on it. Good to be with you all this morning. For our chalice lighting, Chris, would you mind lighting our chalice this morning? Thank you so much. Our chalice lighting comes from Julie Conradi, a banned book, Chalice Lighting. Oh. This happens sometimes. Here you go, Chris. I invite you to find your body in this space, in whatever way is comfortable for you. Find a stillness, find a silence. In this culture that all too often encourages us to rush along, find a place where you can just be. For we light this chalice remembering the freedoms long established in our nation, the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the freedom from the establishment of religion. We light this chalice honoring those who exemplify protecting those freedoms, librarians, booksellers, teachers, authors, journalists. We light this chalice so that by its light we may read all the books. Books with archaic language, with offensive material, books which affirm the diversity of the human race, books which normalize our varied sexualities, books which share multidimensional perspectives of history. May we bask in the glow of its light this morning as we illuminate, brighten, and radiate because of the books we have read and the books we have yet to read. Amen, and blessed be. I'm going to pass it on to Lorraine to lead us in our covenant.
Thank you, Reverend Juniper. Rather than creeds and doctrines, this church practices covenants, which are promises we make on how we will relate to one another as a faith community. This covenant goes back to the church's founders and is adapted from James Philip Blake. Please say it with me. Sarah will put the words on the screen. Love is the spirit of this church, this quest of truth, its sacrament, and this is our covenant. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another believe more fully in life. And because Spanish is the second most spoken language in the United States, in the spirit of inclusion, we'll also say the covenant together in Spanish. Do your best.
El amor
es el espíritu de nuestra iglesia,
la búsqueda de la
verdad, nuestro sacramento. Y esto es nuestro gran acuerdo. Que convivamos en paz. Que busquemos la verdad en el amor. Y que nos ayudemos
uno
al otro a creer más en la vida.
These words, for your consideration, friends, from Plato's Phaedrus, the words of Socrates. I heard then that Ethnocratus in Egypt was one of the many gods of that country, the one whose sacred bird is called the ibis, and the name of the god himself was Tot. He it was who invented numbers and arithmetic and geometry and astronomy, also draughts and dice, and most important of all, letters. Now the king of all Egypt at that time was the god Thomas, who lived in the great city of the upper region, which the Greeks call the Egyptian Thebes, and they call the god himself Ammon. To him came Tot to show his invention, saying that they ought to be imparted to the other Egyptians. But Thomas asked what use there was in each, and as Tot enumerated their uses, expressed praise or blame accordingly, he approved or disapproved. The story goes that Thomas said many things to Tot in praise or blame of the various arts, which it would take too long to repeat. But when they came to the letters, "This invention, O king," said Tot, "will make the Egyptians wiser and will improve their memories, for it is an elixir of memory and wisdom that I have discovered." But Thomas replied, "Most ingenious Tot, one man has the ability to beget arts, but the ability to judge of their usefulness or harmfulness to their users belongs to another. And now you, who are the father of letters, have been led by your affection to ascribe to them a power the opposite of that which they truly possess. For this invention will produce forgetfulness in the minds of those who learn to use it, because they will not practice their memory. Their trust in writing produced by external characters, which are not part of themselves, will discourage the use of their own memory within them. You have invented an elixir not of memory, but of reminding. And you offer your pupils the appearance of wisdom, not true wisdom. For they will read many things without instruction and will therefore seem to know many things. But while they are for the most part ignorant and hard to get along with, since they are not wise, but only appear wise, these the words of the ancients. So imagine a world, friends, where thoughts, dreams, wisdom can never outlast a single moment. A flash in the mind, and then they are gone. A world where knowledge could only be passed down by word of mouth, fragile, fleeting, like the wind, like the kind of information Thomas, this old Egyptian king, was proposing to the god Tot. This was once our reality, a time when no mind on the earth could grasp the magic of literacy, not for their own ignorance, but simply because it just hadn't been invented yet. The stories that shape our cultures, the ideas that fuel our progress, the wisdom that anchors our humanity, all were once confined to memory alone, a risk of being lost to time. How many cultures suffered such a fate? How little do we know of the lives of the people of the pre-Christian British Isles? It is all secondary sources from conquerors and the scribes of conquerors. Memory reigned and memory resigned in the wake of mere legend. But then came a turning point in the history of civilization, the invention of writing, likely a holdover from accountants taking grain and livestock counts, scratches in clay, that would over time become the bones of poetry and the fire of computer code. Over 5,000 years ago, in the cradle of human development, the first symbols were etched onto clay tablets in ancient Mesopotamia or ancient Egypt, depending on who you ask. These symbols, simple at first, began to capture not just sounds, but thoughts, ideas, emotions. In that moment, humanity took a giant leap forward, transforming our ability to record, communicate, and preserve knowledge. At first, a picture would represent a specific thing, an eagle or a hand. Next, that symbol may become associated with the sound of the word, a sort of pun. Humans love puns. For instance, one might draw an eagle when lacking an appropriate symbol for the word regal, for the sake of them sounding similar, barring that being modern English. This is called the rebus principle, and its inception leads many scholars to believe that writing, while prolific across cultures and times, may have been invented only once and then scattered about the lands by traders and people trying to make a profit. From here, a phonetic system may arise, one where a symbol may reference not its meaning, but the sound. So an eagle may represent an E sound. Such a system serves as the root of our own alphabet, influencing the characters of ancient Greek and Latin through the Phoenician trade routes long, long ago. Writing has allowed us to transcend the limits of time and place. What was once whispered from elder to youth became written down for generations to come. In Egypt, hieroglyphs lit up the walls of temples, chronicling histories in bold, majestic strokes. Across the ocean in China, the delicate brushwork of calligraphy recorded the laws, philosophy, and poetry that would influence civilizations for millennia. Every culture found its way to capture the human experience, whether through papyrus scrolls or palm leaves or parchment or, writing is not just about words on a page. It's the foundation of human progress. I mean, try to imagine a world without writing. I don't think you can. If you could, it would not measure up to the world we have today. It would be radically different, fundamentally, totally alien to us. Writing gave birth to philosophy and science, enabling scholars to reason beyond what they could see. Writing sparked revolutions from the works of Socrates and Confucius to the Declaration of Independence that fueled the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and countless other movements that have shaped the world we live in today. Think of the writers who have come before us, scribes and poets and philosophers and visionaries. They took up their pens not just to record what was, but to imagine what could be. They understood that words have power, the power to unite, to challenge, to inspire. It is through writing that civilizations communicate across generations, continents, and time itself, even if that is to disparage the very means by which it is communicated, as in the Phaedrus, where Socrates is challenging writing as a way of holding on to information, even as it may cause our memories to suffer. I believe we have often found ourselves wanting in the face of new technology. It's happening right now. It's happening again with our reliance on technology and the virtual world. How this will change us and how we relate to one another in the world is yet to truly manifest in full. But we may take a lesson from the past and the warning from Thomas to be mindful about how we take up and are changed by new technology, like holding lightning in a jar. Today, writing is more accessible than ever before. From books and letters to digital posts and blogs, or words have the potential to reach millions in an instant. The written word continues to evolve, adapting to new platforms, technologies, and forms, but the essence remains the same. To write is to create, to share, to make an enduring mark upon this world. We need not only privilege the written word, of course. Signs are communicated through a variety of popular mediums. Think American Sign Language, think Braille. Think of how shallow the world would be without such systems to communicate. So as we reflect on the history of writing, remember that we are all a part of this incredible legacy. Each of us in our own way is touched by this technology, and it is technology. Each of us holds the power to influence the future through the words we choose to write, the words we choose to have written on our hearts. Whether you're drafting a novel, composing a letter, posting a thought online, you are contributing to the long and extraordinary journey of human expression. May we never forget that the pen or the keyboard is mightier than the sword, and may we continue to write, to speak, to share, knowing that our words hold the key to shaping a more just, more equitable, more righteous tomorrow. Amen. And blessed be its Spirit of life, love, and all good growing things beneath this star. We gather this morning to celebrate the miracle of meaning making and meaning sharing, to know that we are here for a purpose, not just to merely flop around on this planet, but to be co-creators, to be participants in the stuff of reality, to write our name on something hard and lasting, to share our ideas with a loved one, challenged, shaped, grown, to participate in that process of thesis and antithesis and synthesis, something new from something old. May we allow ourselves to be changed and to grow and to become more morally rounded, our compassion deeper, our humanity, the humanity of those around us more witnessed. May all that is our life, the heavy and the light, the wonderful and the woeful, have that quality of the holy. A life that is here to be experienced, to be reveled in, to be lived in, through what is light and what is heavy, what is hard and what is easy, what leads us round the star and back again, back to this place where we can find community, ignite our humanity, know a love beyond belief. Wesley, I'll invite you forward. And friends, I'll invite you to take that book you may have brought with you. And again, if you don't have one with you, that's okay. I invite you to picture a cover or a title in your mind's eye. You might hold a title in your heart, however you feel connected to that particular text. Wesley?
As Reverend Juniper previously talked about new technologies, I brought my Kindle to bless and the audiobook software on my phone. This is, we're borrowing this from our UCC cousins who posted it online to honor the End Book Week. We invite you to hold a book in your hands. As you hold it, imagine a person for whom this book could be the life-giving words they need, the good news that they have been waiting for, the story that reminds them of the sacred truth of their own story. For that person and all the people who might read it, pray a silent prayer into the pages of that book.
Time. But what a righteous community. This is what we are here for, to remind one another of our common humanity in times of hardship. Truly, any moment in our life can, like we say, have that character of the holy, often in retrospect, when we remember those people who have companioned us and loved us into realness. A moment. So friends, we gather here today, not just as mere individuals, right? This faith calls us to something greater, calls us to be protectors of that sacred something. At least in part, the freedom of thought, the power of ideas, and the moral responsibility we bear in ensuring that voices, every voice, no matter how controversial, generally speaking, can be heard. I stand before you to speak about an issue that strikes at the very heart of our shared humanity, y'all, the banning of books. You know it's happening. It's been happening all across this country. At first glance, book banning might seem like a relatively benign act, a way to protect certain audiences from material deemed inappropriate, offensive, dangerous. But when we take away the pages of a book, we take away much more than just words. We strip away a piece of our collective conscience, our history, our chance to understand and expand on our own humanity, drawing up walls when we ought to be drafting bridges between our factionalized cultures. Books are more than mere ink and paper, y'all. They are windows into different lives, mirrors of our own soul, bridges between our experiences and those of others, from the far-flung past to our own towns, from Socrates to now. To ban a book is to wield the state as a sword, to cut the threads that bind us to one another in our shared journey of discovery. It's that often repeated Mark Morrison Reed quote, luminary of our tradition: the central act of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all, and this practice severs those binds, renders them untouchable, unweavable. History has taught us time and time again the cost of silence. When we silence ideas, when we hide from the uncomfortable truths revealed in the expressed lives of our neighbors, we do not protect society, we make it rigid and fragile. The great movements for justice, for equality, for the betterment of humanity were all fueled by ideas once considered seditious, sometimes downright dangerous. I'm talking social security, queer liberation, anti-racism, disability justice, making spaces more loving. These were all driven by words that in their time might have been banned, feared, suppressed, or at least been considered inconvenient, and so it is in our own time. When we ban a book, we declare that we do not trust the strength of our own convictions or the resilience of our own moral compass. We admit our own unwillingness to bear witness to our neighbor. We declare that some sort of ideas are just too dangerous to confront, that some truths are too heavy to bear. We settle for comfort over curiosity, and a cold comfort at that. We cannot confront uncomfortable ideas. If we cannot confront uncomfortable ideas, how will we ever evolve? How will we ever change? How will we stay alive, friends? For that which never changes truly cannot be said to be alive. How will we ever grow as individuals, as communities, as a society? How might that spirit of pluralism find a place to roost? The moral cost of banning books is not just the loss of knowledge, it's the loss of empathy. It's the loss of our willingness to engage with perspectives that differ from our own. It is the loss of courage, the courage to be challenged, y'all, to be uncomfortable, to be wrong, and to learn. Aren't we here with the understanding that our faith, our big ideas, whatever has us, is at some degree provisional, capable of being changed, worthy of being altered, as it may alter us? We are mindful of what we are worshiping, like our predecessor Ralph Waldo Emerson encouraged us to remember that we ought to be careful what we worship and trust that we are worshiping something, for what we are worshiping, we are becoming. Let us remember that censorship is more often a reflection of fear of the unknown, fear of change, of losing control. But fear is not the foundation upon which great societies are built. We do not grow stronger by hiding from ideas that make us uncomfortable. We grow stronger by facing them, by discussing them, by learning from them, even when, especially when, they are difficult. To ban a book is to deny someone the opportunity to think critically, to imagine, to question, to feel represented, and to wonder, to spark that curiosity that is just the tinderbox of the human spirit. To ban a book, so let us rise against the banning of books, this practice, in our country, locally, and at large. Let us protect the sanctity of the impressed word, that practice of putting meaning encoded onto paper and onto screens, however we make that happen. Carve it into stone, carve it into your own heart. Remember this, that the sharing of information, that the proliferation of good news, of new ideas, this is central to the human character. It's a high quality and Unitarian Universalist practice that we learn, that we grow, that we discuss, that, yeah, we even argue sometimes. We protect our ability to grow, to empathize, and to become the best versions of ourselves when we open ourselves up to new ideas. And so why would we shut them away needlessly, senselessly, without courage, without faith in our own convictions? So friends, let us remember this, that the measure of a society, of a people, is not how it silences difficult ideas, but in how it engages with them. And this isn't a call to allow ourselves to become burdened under other people's bad faith arguments, bad faith assumptions. Keep good track of your time and protect yourself, friends. It's a wild world out there, but we must nonetheless be willing to be brave in the face of ideas that don't quite sit right with us, that we may be challenged and challenge others in turn. For the path of love, the path of righteousness, is not one free from challenge, y'all. May we be a people willing to engage, even as we remain resolute in our own moral convictions, rooted in our own Unitarian Universalist values of what? Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, all rooted in love. May we hear our neighbor and the woes of this world, and may we engage our hands and hearts in the good work of setting one another free. Amen, and blessed be.